There are football stories that inspire you, and then there's Benni McCarthy's, a boy from one of Cape Town's roughest neighborhoods where dreams rarely survive, who became South Africa's greatest ever goal scorer, a Champions League winner, and a symbol of what's possible when talent refuses to die. But behind the headlines and the trophies lies a story of struggle, discipline, and redemption. This is the real story of Benni McCarthy, the man who proved that even from the most forgotten streets, you can rise to the very top of world football. Before the fame, before the goals, before the world even knew his name, there was just Benni. Born in Hanover Park, Cape Town, a place known more for its gang violence than for its football academies. A place where opportunity wasn't given, it had to be fought for. While most kids his age were dodging trouble, Benni was dodging defenders. He'd play the game barefoot on the streets, with bricks for goalposts and plastic bags for balls. That's where his touch, his vision, and his instincts for goals were born. Football was his escape, his only way out, and he knew it. In the early 1990s, South African football was rebuilding after apartheid. New clubs, new leagues, new dreams. Benni joined Seven Stars, a small Cape Town team that believed in giving youth a chance. And even as a teenager, you could see it. The swagger, the finishing, the confidence. He wasn't just good, he was different. Soon, Ajax Amsterdam noticed this, and in 1997, the boy from Hanover Park got on a plane, his first time ever leaving South Africa, to join Ajax's famous youth system in the Netherlands. He didn't just make history, he made a statement. At Ajax, Benni adapted fast. His style, street football meets European technique, was something that coaches just hadn't seen before. He scored goals, he won trophies, and he caught the attention of scouts across Europe. Then, in 1999, came a record-breaking move. Benni McCarthy signed for Celta Vigo in Spain's La Liga. Benni was now playing on the same pitches in the same league where legends would thrive. Legends like Raul Gonzalez, Ronaldo Phenomenon, Ronaldinho, Rivaldo, Zinedine Zidane, and many more. A South African kid playing in one of the best leagues in the world. But it wasn't easy. You had language barriers, you had a culture shock, and you had inconsistency on the pitch. Benni struggled to fit into the system. And that's when he met the man who would change everything. In 2001, Celta loaned Benni McCarthy to FC Porto, and his coach there was a young, unknown Portuguese manager named José Mourinho. From day one, Mourinho believed in him. He challenged him, he pushed him, he motivated him the way that no coach had ever done before. And Benni responded. He became Porto's secret weapon. He was strong, he was clinical in front of goal, and he was ruthless. So much so that in 2003, he signed permanently for FC Porto for £3.5 million. And in the 2003-04 season, everything exploded. He scored 20 goals in the league in 29 games. He scored 4 goals in the Champions League. And then we have to talk about the night that changed his life forever. It was May 26th of 2004, the UEFA Champions League final. It was FC Porto going up against AS Monaco, a Portuguese team led by an unknown José Mourinho, powered by a South African striker. FC Porto won the game 3-0. Benni, he didn't score that night, but his goals throughout the campaign made it all possible. He became the first and only South African to win the Champions League. Let that sink in for a moment. From the streets of Hanover Park to the peak of world football, that wasn't luck, that was destiny. And back home, Benni was already a superstar. At the 1998 World Cup, he announced himself to the world, becoming the youngest South African to ever score in a World Cup. But one of the things that most people remember about his run with the national team was the African Cup of Nations back in 1998, where a 20-year-old Benni McCarthy scored 7 goals and helped South Africa reach the final, where they eventually lost to Egypt. But that was the moment where everyone was talking about this incredible South African striker who could lead Bafana Bafana to greatness. For more than a decade, he carried Bafana Bafana on his back. He scored 31 goals in 80 games for Bafana Bafana, and today he is still South Africa's all-time top scorer. But even national heroes have breaking points. Benny's relationship with the national team was complicated. He loved South Africa, but he hated the politics behind the scenes. Inconsistent selections, unpaid bonuses, mismanagement of the squad. At times, he refused call-ups, and the media called him arrogant and unpatriotic. But the truth was simpler. Benny demanded professionalism, and South African football just wasn't ready for it. He wasn't rebelling, he was demanding standards. Standards that he'd seen in Europe, standards that he wanted for his country, because ultimately, he wanted better for South African football. After his run with Porto, Benny moved to Blackburn Rovers in the Premier League in the 2006-07 season. And once again, he made history. In his debut Premier League season, he scored 18 goals in the league. And let that sink in just a little bit. Let me tell you the players that he was around. So Benny scored 18 goals. The player that was on top of him with 20 goals was Didier Drogba, and the players that was under him was Cristiano Ronaldo with 17 goals, Wayne Rooney with 14, and Mark Viduka with 14. Benny was amongst the elite in that season, and he officially became the first South African to ever do that in the Premier League. He scored against Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea, wherever it was Benny, he found the net. He wasn't just representing South Africa anymore, he was proving that African forwards could dominate the toughest leagues in the world. For Blackburn fans, he was magic. And for South Africa, he was a beacon. But time catches up with everyone. Injuries, weight struggles, and motivation dips began to take their toll on Benni McCarthy. His move to West Ham United didn't work out as he hoped, and after returning to South Africa to play for Orlando Pirates, he faced the hardest decision of all. The decision to retire from football. By 2013, Benni McCarthy's playing career was now officially over, but his story wasn't. While most players fade into retirement, Benni McCarthy did something pretty rare. He reinvented himself. He studied coaching in Scotland, he earned his UEFA badges, and returned to the game with a new purpose. Not as a player, but now as a teacher. In 2020, he took over at Amazulu FC, a team that was struggling at the bottom of the South African Premier Division, or the PSL. Within one season, he led them to second place, their highest finish in history. He was named the Coach of the Year, and Benny wasn't just winning games, he was changing the culture. He was changing culture. Discipline, standards, fitness, respect, the same values that José Mourinho once taught him. And he was proof that South Africa, they didn't need foreign saviors to come in. They kind of had their own. They just needed to trust them. Now, Benny may have gotten it because of his name recognition, but at the same time, he worked hard for it. Then came a twist that no one expected. In 2022, Benni McCarthy joined Manchester United. Now, not as a player, not as the head coach, but as a coach under Erik ten Hag, a South African coaching world-class players at one of the biggest clubs on earth. His role was to sharpen United's attackers and also bring the hunger back to some of the forwards. Within months, fans noticed a difference because the players were scoring. Marcus Rashford rediscovered his form. United's attack looked sharper, hungrier, and more confident. And Benny earned the respect of so many. Not for his name, but for his knowledge. From the streets of Cape Town to Old Trafford, that's not just a journey, that's a legacy. For all the fame and fire, Benny has always stayed real to who he was. He never hid where he came from. He never pretended to be perfect. He talks about growing up surrounded by violence. He talks about losing friends to drugs and gangs. He talks about how football saved his life. And that's why people connect with him, because his story isn't about fame. It's about being a fighter. Benni McCarthy represents something bigger than trophies. He represents possibility, that someone from the Cape Flats, from poverty, from danger and doubt, could stand on the Champions League podium, then one day be a coach at Manchester United. He's a reminder that South African football can produce greatness, not just in talent, but also in mindset. Benny's story isn't about luck. It's about never letting your circumstances define your ceiling. Today, Benni McCarthy stands as both a legend and a bridge between Africa and Europe, between playing and coaching, between potential and achievement. If you're looking for him today, you can see him coaching the Kenya national team. And he's already hinted at his dream to one day manage Bafana Bafana. Now, wouldn't that be pretty awesome to see? And maybe that's how his story will end. Coming home and being a coach here and helping South Africa win some silverware. Because if anyone can rebuild South African football from the ground up, it's the man who built himself up from nothing. Benni McCarthy's story isn't about the goals, it's about the growth. It's about a boy who turns struggle into strength, doubt into drive, and circumstances and criticism into confidence. He didn't just play football, he changed it. And whether you're from Cape Town, from Hanover Park, or from South Africa as a whole, or from anywhere else in the world, his story whispers one timeless truth. It doesn't matter where you start, it matters how hard you fight to finish. Now I want you guys to let me know, do you think that Benni McCarthy is South Africa's greatest ever player? Do you think that during his time he should have won some major things with South Africa? Or do you think that his story is a bit overhyped? Let me know down in the comments down below, guys. And also, don't forget to give this video a like because it really helps the algorithm. Also, guys, subscribe so that you never miss another video like this. Turn on those bell notifications so that you get notified. And also, guys, I just want to say a massive thank you for watching this video all the way until the end. Guys, I'm Ty, and I will catch you on the next one.